Good morning, East Alabama and West Georgia. This is Kevin Moon from God's Country. It's time for your primetime forecast on Dr. Don's weather. Now, here's my friend, Dr. Don.
Howdy-ho, East Alabama and West Georgia. Welcome to your Tuesday morning. Lots to talk about this morning. We're going to let you know the latest on Major Hurricane Ian, about to emerge over the western tip of Cuba and out into the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. We'll let you know what kind of effects we expect to see from Ian as Ian makes its way to the north toward the state of Florida. Also, beautiful weather over the next couple of days. There is some fire danger. It's going to get a little bit windy. All of this and a whole lot more coming up in this morning's edition of your Prime Time Forecast for Tuesday, September 27, 2022, from the Alpha Weather Center. Jamie Dukas, your local Alpha agent. Don't forget, we still have the 14th Annual Fall on Main Street Festival scheduled for this Saturday in Roanoke. We are keeping a anxious eye on the weather forecast for Saturday morning, but for now, as far as I know, the festival is still on schedule. It's planned for Saturday morning because the expected track of the storm is going to come right up the eastern side of Georgia, and because I physically am located in northeast Georgia, at the moment it doesn't look likely that I'm going to be able to be there on Saturday morning because of my responsibilities up here in northeast Georgia. However, as far as I know, the festival is still scheduled for Saturday morning, so make your plans to be there. Things could still change as we get a little bit closer. We're going to have to kind of watch this and see how it evolves, and we'll keep you updated right here on Dr. Don's weather. Again, don't forget, Jamie Dukas is your local Alpha agent. Hit that link at the top of this video and you can get that cost-free, no-obligation insurance quote, save you a bunch of money, and you'll also become eligible to win prizes from Dr. Don's weather. We've got our next drawing coming up real soon here on Dr. Don's weather. Let's jump in and talk about the tropics. First, don't forget to head over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that little bell so that when we go live for severe weather, you'll be guaranteed to get those push notifications. Well, here's the latest deal on Hurricane Ivan. Ivan? How about Ian? We had an Ivan one time, and now we got Ian, and it gets a little confusing out here, folks. But no, we're looking at the 5 a.m. information from the National Hurricane Center. Ian is located at 22.3 north, 83.7 west. Maximum sustained winds are 125 miles per hour. Movement is to the north at 12 miles per hour, and we're expecting Ian to intensify even more, making it to Category 4. And a minimal Category 5 is not completely out of the question before it approaches the Florida west coast, probably somewhere around Bradenton, Florida, or just south of Tampa, right there at the Tampa Bay, which is going to most likely produce historical coastal flooding on the western side of Florida. You go back to Hurricane Donna in 1935, probably the last time that the west coast of Florida has seen anything like this. This is not very typical. We don't see these hurricanes coming in on the western side of Florida that often. Typically, it's the eastern side of Florida, and then it traverses back out into the Gulf of Mexico. So a bad situation setting up for the west coast of Florida there near Tampa. We expect that landfall to make place around 2 a.m. Thursday morning right there at Tampa Bay. Now, after that, we expect the storm to continue to track to the north. And while I feel more confident this morning on the first piece of this track, up until landfall, beyond that, there's still some question marks. The National Hurricane Center did bump the track a little bit further to the east in their 5 a.m. update this morning. You can see that East Alabama is still in the cone of uncertainty, and it's pretty wide right there as we get into Friday night, Saturday morning. So the center of circulation of what's left of Ian could track anywhere from, let's say, Roanoke, Alabama, all the way over to the Atlantic coast. So again, still some question marks on what happens after we get landfall as we go into Friday and Saturday. But for now, the track is expected to be from just north of Tampa up to around Jacksonville, and then up into southeast Georgia to a point near maybe Hinesville, Georgia, crossing over I-16 there near Statesboro, and then ending up near Augusta. By late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, we should see the storm up there around Greenville, South Carolina. Now, Greenville's only just a hop, skip, and a jump away from where my studios are located up here in northeast Georgia. And of course, most of you know I'm an emergency manager and the deputy director for the White County, Georgia Public Safety Office. So that pretty much wraps up my weekend as we head toward this Saturday and Sunday. So what are we expecting across East Alabama? Well, there's a couple of things here. Thursday is probably going to be a very windy day across East Alabama, and that is going to be indirectly because of Hurricane Ian. What's happening here, of course, a hurricane or a tropical system is a low pressure system. Then we're going to have high pressure setting up to the northeast up across the New England states. So Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, we're kind of caught between low pressure and high pressure. And it's going to be what's referred to as the squeeze play. We're caught in between, so the pressure gradient between the low pressure to our south and the high pressure to our northeast is going to increase our winds tremendously on Thursday, probably even into Friday. So wind gust of 30 to 40 miles per hour. Indirectly associated with Ian, certainly plausible across East Alabama, West Georgia, even up into Middle and North Georgia as we head into Thursday and Friday. So going to be pretty windy. We have a high fire danger that will go into effect on Wednesday, and with those winds on Thursday, before the moisture returns, I would think that the high fire danger will continue on Thursday as well. So be very mindful of that and try to abstain from burning outdoors if you can on Wednesday and on Thursday. So the winds kick up on Thursday, and then as the storm moves up the eastern or southeastern sections of Georgia, headed toward Augusta, that will put some rain back over west Georgia, back into East Alabama. Now, you're going to be on the west side of the storm, which is where you want to be. That's where the least amount of severe weather will take place. So I would not anticipate any threat of severe weather from tornadoes or anything like that, but we certainly could see rain Friday night, and at least the first part of Saturday across East Alabama and West Georgia. Flooding rains would not be a concern, but you know, we've been through this many times before, and you'll remember as those feeder bands spiral around what's left of Ian, you're going to get those showers that'll come in. It'll rain pretty hard for 10 or 15 minutes, and then it's gone. Maybe even peaks at the sun from time to time as this storm moves off to the north, and then 30, 40 minutes later, here comes another band, and you get more showers. So, intermitting periods of showers, breezy conditions on Friday night football, and then on Saturday morning. I think we'll see the same. By Saturday afternoon in East Alabama, I think weather starts to improve, and then Sunday should be, again, it's going to be breezy, but I think Sunday's a pretty nice day across East Alabama and West Georgia. Probably Sunday afternoon before things start to clear up here in northeast Georgia and upstate South Carolina. So that's what we're expecting right now. Again, potentially a historical event about to take place down on Florida's west coast near Bradenton, Florida, Tampa Bay area, Tampa properly. We expect the storm to lose its hurricane status pretty quick after it makes landfall, and then down to tropical storm force category just north of Tampa, and then a tropical depression as he moves up through southeast Georgia up into South Carolina. There's the latest spaghetti tracks from the National Hurricane Center, and you can see that things get a little wonky after it gets up into Georgia. You'll notice up there right along the South Carolina-Georgia state line, we have a couple of models that try to actually push the storm back to the west, or what's left of the storm, and then back off to the northeast. So, again, there's still some question as to what happens precisely after the storm makes it up into Georgia, but you really kind of want to throw those oddities out the window because odds of that happening are pretty slim. So we'll go with those black lines you see that run up to near Augusta and then up into upstate South Carolina, eventually up into North Carolina, and then we think a frontal zone will pick it up and push it on off to the northeast. So no tracks back over West Georgia or East Alabama this morning. That's the good news. As we went to bed last night, there was still that possibility, but all computer models are saying, nah, we're going to push it on off to the east just a little bit more. So the further to the east the storm goes away from East Alabama and West Georgia, the better your weather will be as this storm moves inland here in about 48 hours. Let's take a look at your current conditions at the East Alabama Bee Company. Currently 53 degrees outside. It's a little bit nippy. High temperature yesterday was 81. We have clear skies for the moment, though there are a few clouds hanging around. Wind out of the west at about 2 miles per hour. Humidity is 83%. The barometric pressure is 30.03 inches. No rain officially in the past 24 hours. Sunrise this morning is 6:31. Sunsets this evening at 6:32 p.m. We expect to go to 74 this afternoon in Roanoke. It'll be a fine fall day. 73 in Ashland, 74 in Lineville. Wedowee and Woodland both hit 73. Ranburne goes to 72, 74 over at LaGrange. And Lafayette will top out this afternoon at 75 degrees. Here's your 6-day forecast from the Alpha Weather Center. Jamie Dukas, your local Alpha agent. Gorgeous day for today, mostly sunny. 74 degrees this afternoon, ample sunshine. Wednesday will be a gorgeous day as well, but we will begin to see the winds pick up in the afternoon. Webster says 72 is the definition of a perfect weather day, and we're going to give that to you on Wednesday. Thursday will be a windy day. Again, we'll be caught in that pressure gradient between low pressure and high pressure. Winds could occasionally gust 30, even 35 miles per hour across East Alabama and West Georgia. I think the further east you go, the higher the winds will be. So you folks over in LaGrange and Heard County and up in Carroll County will be closer to the center of circulation. So I think your winds will be a little bit higher. It will give you a 20% chance of a shower late in the day on Thursday, 73 your high. Then on Friday, as the storm kind of gets parallel with East Alabama and West Georgia over in East Georgia, we'll increase that rain chance to 40% as we get into the afternoon on Friday. Again, it'll be a breezy day, tropical showers from time to time. Not going to be a complete washout, and we do not anticipate any severe weather. We're talking tornadoes. We could certainly have some trees down and power outages due to gusty winds and that rain. 69 on Friday with that cloud coverage. We'll start the day with a little sun, but by the time we get to the afternoon, it'll be mostly cloudy, breezy with occasional tropical showers. Friday night football, about a 50% chance of showers. I know that some schools are discussing the possibility of moving their games to Thursday night, and I think some of those decisions will be made this morning. But again, I caution you, we're not talking about tropical weather Friday night during high school football. The storm is going to be far enough to the east. Yes, there will be showers around, but it's not going to be a complete washout. We're not looking at flooding rains, and we're not looking at tornadic activity on Friday night. So take all of that into consideration when you're trying to make those decisions on whether you want to move those games. You kind of got to weigh here. What are you going to have to go through to make this decision versus what we expect in the weather department? Right now, yes, it's going to be wet from time to time, but we're not talking about horrible weather conditions on Friday night, not at least based on the information we have right now. So that will continue into Saturday, and then by Saturday afternoon, the storm starts to get north. and northeast of East Alabama, and we should start to see weather conditions improving somewhat as we get into Saturday afternoon. And then by Sunday morning, just a few showers hanging around maybe through about noon. I think we go back to sunshine Sunday afternoon. It'll be breezy, but most of the moisture should be gone by the time we get out of church on Sunday. 75 will be your high Sunday afternoon. Southern Union State Community College live Doppler HD radar showing the southeastern United States this morning. Look down there, all the way down at the bottom, you'll see Hurricane Ian. And Ian is sitting down there this morning on the western tip of Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane. Now, we talked about this. We've been talking about this scenario now for about 2 weeks. And it's funny how we have gone really back to the original forecast track that was out there 2 weeks ago. So we kind of wavered a little bit there for several days, but now we're back almost identical to the original track, which is pretty good. But you'll see the storm is coming over the western peninsula there of Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane. Maximum sustained winds are at 127 miles per hour at this hour. That's just crazy. Some wind gusts are up to 155 miles per hour. We believe the storm will intensify quickly as it moves over Cuba. Then once it's out into the southern Gulf of Mexico, southeastern Gulf of Mexico, we expect maximum sustained or maximum winds to go to 138 miles per hour, with maximum sustained gust at 167 miles per hour in the Gulf of Mexico. That will maintain for about 24 hours, and then as the storm approaches the western side of Florida, we're going to downgrade to a Category 3, but that is still very dangerous and will still cause a lot of problems for Florida. We're still looking at a Category 3 as the storm makes it into the Tampa Bay. That will cause historical flooding there from places like Sarasota, really from Point Charlotte all the way back up to Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida, St. Petersburg. We're talking Clearwater, Tarpon Springs, Lakeland, Florida, Tampa proper. This entire area is the storm surge is going to be just incredible in this entire area. And I know a lot of people have got interest down there from East Alabama and West Georgia. That's a very popular vacation point, and there are a lot of folks up in North Georgia as well, originally from this part of Florida. So our thoughts and prayers are out for the folks in the Tampa Bay area, because this is going to be pretty significant. Mandatory evacuations underway for this entire area of the west coast of Florida. Then as the storm makes it inland, we're thinking he's going to downgrade to Category 1 pretty quick, and then continue on up to the north. And then once the storm gets up here to around Ocala, Florida, it may actually turn back to the north and maybe a little bit back to the northwest as it interacts with that frontal zone that stalled out across North Florida. And then it should punch through that zone somewhere around Jacksonville, continue on up to the north, maybe pretty close to Waycross, Georgia, and then crossing I-16 near Metter, Georgia. You know, everything's better in Metter. And then continuing to the north up to around Augusta. This would be by Saturday night. And then making it into the state of South Carolina near Lawrence, and up there along I-85 just to the east of Greenville by Sunday morning. Now, to put this into perspective for those of you who are over in North Georgia, we will show you right quick just exactly how far we are. And let's say you're in Cleveland, Georgia, which is pretty close to where I am located. Then if this track is correct, the storm's closest pass to White County, Georgia would be about 103 miles to the east of White County, Georgia. So that's important because as the storm makes it inland and we start to see what happens to the storm as it starts losing its strength, We'll watch to see just how large the wind field is with the storm and how big the outer feeder bands, or how far from the center of circulation the outer feeder bands are. And so that'll kind of give us a much better idea of exactly what kind of weather we're going to expect up here in North Georgia. I mean, if we have a storm that's 100 miles or 50 miles wide from the center, then that's going to put the outer edge of the storm right across White County as it moves up into North Georgia on Saturday night into Sunday. Still a long way out and a lot of stuff to watch, but that's one aspect of this that we will be keeping a very close eye on moving forward. Obviously, the further east you go, you folks up in northeast Georgia like Raven County, Stevens County, you're going to be closer to the center of circulation, so you're probably going to pick up a little more weather. So the closest pass to East Alabama, we'll run that right quick for you. This is just going to be for novelty reasons. It's really not going to mean a whole lot for you because it's going to be too far away. But let's say Roanoke, Alabama, the closest pass on this forecast track is 189 miles. So that would be over there around Waynesboro, Georgia, and then from that point back to Roanoke is about 190 miles, and that would be late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. So we zoom back out and show you that there is no precipitation across East Alabama and West Georgia at this hour. Notice that East Alabama is still in that cone of uncertainty, meaning that after the track leaves the Lakeland, Florida area, it could track anywhere within these white lines you see on the map. So as long as you're inside the cone of uncertainty, you need to really pay close attention to the forecast moving forward. The trend has been to shift the storm to the east over the last 48 hours. Our next update from the Hurricane Center comes at about 10 a.m. this morning. I would expect maybe to see a little bit more of a shift to the east, and that should take East Alabama completely out of that cone of uncertainty as we head toward our 10 o'clock update this morning from the National Hurricane Center. So there you go. That's the latest on Hurricane Ian as we watch the west coast of Florida about to take a historical hit down there. I think wind damage is going to be a major issue, but overall I think flooding is going to be the big story once Ian is said and done. Don't forget to head over to our website at drdonwx.com. You can support us there by clicking on that donate button. Also, don't forget that you can catch my daily weather forecast over on God's Country and the classic 89.7 East Alabama's classic rock giant. Thank you to Jamie Dukas, your local Alpha agent, and to Mr. Jeff Monroe down at the East Alabama Bee Company in 5 Points. Our sponsors here on Dr. Don's Weather. If you'd like to be a partner with us, all you have to do is send me a message on Messenger, and I can have you started by the time we do our next weather forecast, which, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, will be first thing tomorrow morning right here on Dr. Don's Weather. Y'all have a great Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow.